Ladies and gentlemen, what's up? Here you go. In this video, you are going to be learning or answering this question, how do you use the discriminant, this thing called the discriminant, to be able to determine how many solutions a quadratic equation has, and also what kind of solutions a quadratic equation has. We just did a whole unit on finding the actual solutions by factors EPP, square root method, quadratic formula. Those were the three methods used to find the solutions. The discriminant, as you see, is just used to find how many and what kind they are. So there's a major difference, but it's a pretty cool thing. Now, you are going to be doing an activity with a partner, and you're going to get the same exact worksheet. It looks just like this. It's on the screen. You're going to be getting it. It's going to be copied in pink, and when it's handed out to you, after it's handed out to you, just you and your partner. Don't get one laptop for yourself and your partner. Just get one that you share. So you and your partner will share a laptop, and it tells you exactly on the front of this paper what to do. There's something on the back of the paper that we'll do, but not yet. On the front of this paper, I want you to go to this website, which is actually on the paper when you get it, and you're going to punch these three things into the actual website, and you're going to, as you see, neatly draw an accurate sketch. And in the box over here to the right, or over here to the right, or over here to the right, you're going to be providing a couple things. One, how many times does the parabola cross the x-axis, if it does at all, and then also where it crosses with the ordered pairs. So at 0, 4, or that doesn't make sense, at 4, 0, or negative 3, 0, or wherever it crosses the x-axis, you're putting that over here in the box. So that's your deal. The substitute's going to tell you how long you're going to have for this particular activity. You're not going to have the whole period because we got a lot to do here today, but you're going to learn a ton in just this short little period and doing this activity and some other things. So go get your laptop and graph these things and then stop. What's up? I'm back. Okay, so here you go. After graphing this first one right here, what you should have found, it looked just like this. So notice in the little box you should have written this parabola doesn't cross the x-axis or touch the x-axis anywhere. The second one actually does. Here's the second one. It crosses right here at negative 3, 0, and it crosses at 1, 0. So this parabola crosses two places, and those were the two places. The third one was very unique. It didn't cross at all. In fact, it just barely touches the x-axis right there, and that's at 3, 0. So pretty unique. The first one didn't cross at all, the second one crossed twice, and the third one actually just barely touched once. And this is all going to come to fruition here in a little bit. You're going to see why this is all true. So now, turn your paper over. Let's recall the quadratic formula. I'm going to pause this video. No, don't pause the video. I'm going to have it keep running, but I'm going to give you 15 seconds. In 15 seconds, when I stop talking, I want you to write down the quadratic formula. You should know it because we've just done it many, many days. So 15 seconds, you got to write down the formula, starting now. All right, here we go. Did you get it? We're going to find out. The quadratic formula, ladies and gentlemen, is, bam, negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. If you had it, go high five each other. Woo, yeah, good job. Woo. Okay, now it's time to get quiet. Now, keep in mind, this is for quadratic equations. That's in standard form. A is your coefficient of x squared, b is your coefficient of x, and c is your constant term. Here's, however, the important thing about quadratic formula. You got it, great. We've mastered it. We are now going to focus and zoom in on one particular part of the quadratic formula, and it's all of this stuff that's under the square root. So here's the part where if you have a highlighter or a marker or a different color pen or pencil, you need to get it out. If you don't, it's okay, but here's what you need to do. You need to take your highlighter and highlight just this b squared minus 4ac. So it's just the stuff that's underneath the square root. If you don't have a highlighter, then just take and box it with your pencil. That's great. But that thing right there has an extremely important name, and yep, you guessed it. It's the title of the video. It is called the discriminant. So what I would do is right here on your paper where it says the discriminant is, I'd write b squared minus 4ac. So that b squared minus 4ac is not the square root, just b squared minus 4ac. Not all the rest of the quadratic formula. Just b squared minus 4ac. That's the discriminant. So what we do is we use this b squared minus 4ac just with simple like equations. So let me make one up. I'll say like, I don't know, we'll go 2x squared minus 4x plus 7 equals 0. Wonderful. So if I'm going to use the discriminant, notice this is an equation. In the quiz that you just took yesterday, you were solving it. It's not asking you that. I want to use the discriminant to do something. You don't know what it is yet. You're going to find out. But if I use the discriminant, I'm just going to do b squared minus 4, forgive me, I'm writing with the mouse, 4ac. So I take the b, which is negative 4b, and I take that and square it. I do minus 4a, which is a 2, times the c, which is a 7. Wonderful. So that's going to give me here 16 minus 8 times 5, which is 56. Ooh, look at that. So this discriminant is going to give me negative 40. Now that negative 40 doesn't mean anything to you yet, but that's all you're doing. You're just getting a particular number, not a solution, not plus or minus negative 40. All you're doing is you're just getting a number. So take now, you see the little section in your paper that says use the quadratic equations from the front. You look up here on the screen. It's these three that you plugged into the website and graphed earlier. You take those three and use the discriminant to get a number. That's all I want you to do. You don't know what it means yet. You're going to find out shortly. But just take that discriminant, b squared minus 4ac for this one, b squared minus 4ac for this equation, b squared minus 4ac for that equation. And then we'll continue. So now you may pause this video, and then when you're all done, we're going to talk about what this means. So good luck. All right, welcome back. Let's see if you got them. So the very first one, when using the discriminant, well, actually, they're all going to come up here. Here they are. Bam. Negative 8 was the first one, 16 was the second one, and 0 was the third one. Did you get them? Woo! High five each other. High five. Yeah, good job. Woo! Okay, back on track. Here we go. So let me do this for you because I'm going to, again, start to pull this full circle for you. When you find the discriminant, let me do this. There it is. So what I've just done now is I copied the graphs from the original thing that you did at the front of the paper. This first, remember, it never crossed the x-axis. This one crossed twice. This one just touched it once. I'm going to tell you, this is not a coinkydink that this particular discriminant, yes, I said coinkydink. It's not a coinkydink that the discriminant is negative and the actual parabola never crosses the x-axis. It's not a coinkydink that this is positive and it crosses twice. This is 0 and it just barely touches. That is actually the entire point for this discriminant. Remember, this negative 8 has nothing, listen to me, nothing to do with whether the parabola is going up or down. Remember, the a value determines smiley face or frowny face. This negative 8, the discriminant, has nothing to do with that. Remember from the very, very beginning, this is what the discriminant has to do with. Only showing and determining how many and what kind of solutions. Not what the solutions are, not where the parabola goes up or down, where it's big, small, fat, where it doesn't matter. It's how many and what type. So let me pull this full circle. I'll bring it back to you here. At the very bottom of the paper, let's finally summarize it so you can get loose on doing some things yourself. So at the very bottom of the paper, it says this. If the discriminant itself, b squared minus 4ac, if that number, if it gives you a number that is, first of all, less than 0. So like example we just got, was the first one was negative 8 was less than 0. And remember, the parabola never crossed the x-axis. And here's the thing that you don't know, but you need to make sure you commit to memory. So what that really means is this. It's giving us 2 imaginary solutions. You say, Mater, what are you talking about? As we talked about in class yesterday, the imaginary numbers, the square root of something negative. If we actually had to solve that first equation, we would have gotten imaginary solutions. That's it. That's it. So that discriminant tells you the following. If the discriminant comes out to be negative, meaning less than 0, then you know 2 things. The parabola never crosses the x-axis, and you have 2 imaginary solutions. Now, next thing. What happens if the actual discriminant itself is positive? Like the second example we did, where we got 16 for the discriminant. That is positive. It's bigger than 0. It's positive. Well, here's what it means. The parabola crosses the x-axis 2 distinct points, and you're going to have two real solutions. Haha. So, as I showed you, the parabola crosses twice, and where it actually crosses is the solutions. So if the discriminant's negative, it doesn't cross. If it is positive, it does cross. And if it's positive like this, you got two real solutions. If it's negative, you got two imaginary solutions. What? And there's only one more possibility, and that's this. What happens if the actual discriminant turns out to be exactly 0? That was our third example. And yes, you can look back now. The parabola just barely touches the x-axis, and there's only one real solution. Beautiful. That is your summary right there. So when I turn you loose on your worksheet today, you're going to be determining how many solutions and also what kind, meaning imaginary or real. So how many, either 2 or 1, and what type, imaginary or real. And that's all determined by this summary right here. If the discriminant's negative, if the discriminant's positive, if the discriminant's 0. So let's summarize this summary. Or actually, let me give you, as it says at the bottom, a major point to remember. The major point to remember is this. As I just showed you, if it's negative, wonderful. All this is great. If it's positive, great. If it's 0. But the point to remember that's extremely important is this. Bam. The discriminant, as I've been saying throughout the video, the discriminant does not at all help you find the solutions or even graph the parabola. That's not the point for discriminant. We've already done that. We know how to graph. We know how to solve these things. The discriminant only does this. Two things. How many and what kind. If this needs to be paused right now so you all get a chance to write it down, please pause the video. But this is exactly the point for discriminant. Now, on to finally doing something. Yay. You're going to be given this sheet of paper right here. It's a pizzazz worksheet. Down at the bottom you have this little code. Read the directions. But how can you help control soil erosion is the question. And you'll see some graphs and you'll see some actual right here. Wait, what am I doing this for? It's already on the paper. It's right here. You'll see some graphs and you'll see some actual equations. You have to use the discriminant to determine whether there's 2 real, 1 real, or 2 imaginary. That's it. You got to do that. You guys are awesome. I'm going to see you next class. We'll talk about this thing and dive into it a little bit more. Peace.